All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Nikita. I'm one of the co-founders of Chain Patrol. I'll be moderating this panel today. Chain Patrol, we're a security company. We help protect projects like these from phishing, impersonation, fake airdrops, taking down all the scammers that are trying to steal your community's money. But enough about me. We'll go into some of the projects where, some of the teams here, founders. We're going to be talking about how we scale infra, how we build universal apps, scaling the Bitcoin layer as well, and how the teams here are building everything out, some of the unique takes that they have, some of the unique trade-offs that they have to create as they're building their protocols, and why did they choose to specialize in these areas. So with that, I'll pass it over to the founders here. Let's talk about maybe a quick intro, name, role, and just a little bit about your project.
Yeah, I start. Hi everyone, my name's Liu. I'm based in Singapore, working on a protocol called Zeta Chain. We're live since February last year. The goal of us is try to build a layer one that really connects with try to be a facilitator channels in between all the major EVM and non-EVM ecosystems. So that includes, think about us as a connector between EVM chains versus non-EVM like smart contract like Bitcoin itself, or movement language ecosystem like Sui and Solana, and all that. So well, very similar. I was at a super chat earlier, so I think we share the same goals. In the future, I think this is a multi-ecosystem with the different programming languages. And then for any developer coming into the ecosystem, they want to hopefully deploy on one place and able to orchestrate transactions within this one place into all this connected DeFi ecosystems. So we have been live and secure for the past 1.5 years. Listed on most of the exchanges. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle. I'm the executive director at Stacks and Stacks Asia Foundation. For those that may not be aware of Stacks, we are one of the original Bitcoin layers and the very first to bring programmability and smart contracts to Bitcoin, to empower the Bitcoin side of the industry in being able to scale and provide applications across the board. So being able to provide scalability to the Bitcoin L1, and then later, as we're now working across the ecosystem and industry today, help Bitcoin to be more productive. That BTC is more than a store of value, more than a sleepy asset, but now can actually be a productive asset in applications and in your portfolios across the board.
Hey, everyone. Hey, my name is John Jones. I'm the co-founder of Supra, and Supra focuses on full vertical integration. So we're a layer one that integrates Oracle, automation, cross-chain communication, all under one shared security paradigm. Now, we launched last November with MoveLang and MoveVM, but our vision is to be multi-VM compatible. So we have our EVM that just went live on testnet, and we have version 2 coming to testnet next week. And it just so happens that 3 days ago, we found out that our Super EVM, it's the fastest EVM on the market. We looked at the data comparing to Monad, and it just turns out that we're 50% faster than even Monad. So this is really exciting news. Super is focused on full vertical integration, and we're going multi-VM.
Yeah, I think with with the amount of people building different chains, layer ones, what we want to talk about here is like what unique problems are each of you really tackling? We've have work on like automated DeFi, we have work on universal contracts, on scaling the Bitcoin layer, and my question is, I guess, to you is, what overlooked problems do you see in the space? Why did you choose the direction that you're going with your protocol and your development? And what does that really enable? Like, what is that your unique focus leading to? So maybe we can start with Stacks, and then I'm curious because like we said, notice Supra and Zeta Chain, there's a little bit of overlap. So I'm interested in what your unique takes are. But let's go with Stacks first.
Yeah. So our founding principles came back all the way to 2017 and 2019. Again, looking at what was missing when it came to the Bitcoin L1, and that was a programmability language or a layer, pardon me. And with that, fast forward a couple of years after we went mainnet in 2021, a lot of the next phase of Stacks was driven by the fact that, again, for Bitcoin to be more than a store of value, there needed to be a technical architecture above it. Bitcoin being the most stable, secure, and the entire foundation of what this industry has been built upon. There's so much more that can be done with it. That stability and security can be harnessed for so many good applications, whether that's in traditional finance, that's in decentralized finance, it's in whether it's in e-commerce or any other industry or category. There's a lot of different powers at B that want to be able to use and leverage that stability and security. And so at the time of founding of Stacks, again, back in 2017, that was where the initial core began. And then let's add programmability. Let's help others be able to take advantage of that stability and security by adding the application layer, which became Stacks, and do it in a very fast and efficient way. So first, all of our blocks were paired with Bitcoin blocks. Sounds really great. Turns out it's very slow. Generously, every block took about 60 minutes at hand. Again, 1 for 1. Fast forward, we introduced the Nakamoto upgrade over 2024, and we introduced the fastest network across all Bitcoin layers today with sub-second transaction across the board. So now within sub-seconds, you can do high-frequency trading, you can do massive transactions, maybe even gaming one day. You can now do something leveraging Bitcoin security and true Bitcoin finality in a way that was not possible across the industry beforehand as well. And so again, the reason we wanted to do that is Bitcoin L1 had more to give and provide for the industry in the future of finance and applications going forward.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, we're in a position where I think, Bitcoin fundamentally is very hard to change. And honestly, it's probably more of a feature than it is a bug, right? That's why there's so much trust around this. But there's demand, right? And that's what you're building out.
Exactly. Bitcoin L1 was designed specifically, as you said. It's not supposed to be super fast. It's not supposed to be super usable. It is supposed to be stable and secure. And us, along with many others on the Bitcoin side of the industry, have helped to improve beyond that. Not touch it, not force any major changes, but instead enhance it above and be able to still leverage that stability and security. Because to your point, there is a lot of demand. Right now, more than almost 58, 60% of this entire industry is dominated by Bitcoin. There's over $2 trillion in capital that has been generated in 16 years around Bitcoin. That is a huge amount of demand that continues to grow. And now we're starting to see that move from DeFi and trading into public markets. And it's only continuing to increase as well. And so that demand needs somewhere to go. It needs somewhere to move. And the next opening opportunity, as we're working on as well, is being able to bring Bitcoin cross-chain and be able to support Bitcoin, any network, any application, anywhere, to put your Bitcoin to work in some case for you.
Awesome. Yeah. And maybe we can go to Supra for, what is your unique take on what you're building, the unique insights that you have. And I'm kind of interested, is that also involving Bitcoin in some way? Is it EVM focused? You mentioned you're also in your, keynote earlier, you're going across a lot of different ecosystems. How do you see the future of Supra being built out?
Yeah. So, cross-chain, like you mentioned, cross-chain communication is a big thing for Bitcoin or for any ecosystem. So DeFi is definitely growing. And in my presentation earlier, DeFi is in the billions of dollars, and we're getting more and more assets from stable coins to RWAs, and DeFi is definitely becoming a giant. I think from Supra, we focus on full vertical integration, having native, a high throughput layer 1, native oracles, native automation, native cross-chain communication, but really focusing on automation on the Supra side first within our own ecosystem. But really the next thing that we're tackling is how do you create this coordinated layer, this hub and spoke model where you can have and interact with liquidity across many different ecosystems. And how can you do that in an automated way for DeFi? So we think the next stage for DeFi is multi-chain, and it's done through automated tasks. And you need a mixture of oracles, you need automation, and maybe a little bit of AI agents in the future as they stop hallucinating, right? And to really be able to kind of logically move assets from one chain to the other, from one vault to the other, to optimize yield, to grow wealth, And to do this 24/7 without you being in front of your computer, because who wants to be in front of their computer all the time? So basically having your assets work for you. And in order to do this, you really need to have a multi-chain automation strategy. And that's really what we're building at Supra.
Yeah, I definitely think that agents are coming, but they're going to need the right infra to power them, right? And the DeFi world is only getting more and more complicated. There's more ways to, invest, to interact with different chains, to move your funds around. So the hub and spoke model, it's been popular, as I believe, with Aave and others. So it's like makes sense to make that part of like a core protocol. Now, maybe we can go to Zeta Chain here, and you're focused on universal smart contracts. How's that maybe a bit different from, other approaches people have taken to multi-chain? Curious your approach.
So when we started, honestly, 3-4 years ago, our vision was simpler, right? It's about share a lot of the insight with the stacks. We think one of the largest dominant assets is Bitcoin itself, and there was a lot of wrap version of Bitcoin, right? Try to plug into the EVM ecosystem. There was a WBTC, there's a bunch of those. That is still pretty much the case now, that a lot of the uses are very centralized, right? They are controlled by licensed, non-licensed, centralized big exchanges or custody service provider in the US, right? Try to do a wrap version. So our vision back then, even until now, we think Bitcoin shouldn't be wrapped, right? I mean, honestly, all these native gas assets, Solana, Ethereum, they shouldn't be wrapped when they are used in the other ecosystems. So because the assets is most secure in its own network. So what we are building on top is really the connector, even though we call ourselves layer ones, but we actually more build towards the infrastructure that connects all this major L1 ecosystem. I mentioned before, the EVM side, the Solidity side, right? There's a Golang language Solana side, and then there's a movement language Sui and the Apto side, and also there's a Bitcoin itself. So now we expanded by just introducing native Bitcoin into EVM itself, and now it's all like mesh, right? We have Solana, Sui, even and a ton ecosystem as well. We think this 5 ecosystem will be very much like isolated nations in the future. We are trying to build the highways to connect them. So on top, as of now, we adopt Solidity environments, right? So it's easier. We think still, as of now, there's most developers that write Solidity code. So we provides the same environments for them to just copy paste their codes and then add a few connector lines, right? Without much alternation on the original code, they are able to serve the various ecosystem that they may not have the expertise to write code into. So I think that is something we are trying to provide.
Yeah, that actually flows nicely into the next piece. Is really we want to talk about how what's a unique kind of primitive that you can point to in your design and your protocol that has enabled a unique builders to create something unique that you think can't really be built anywhere else. How has it affected the way they architect either smart contracts or their applications? How has it impacted user experience? So maybe we can continue with yourself as well. In the way that you developers are building contracts, how has that implemented? How does that practically affect UX?
I, I wouldn't say. I mean, I think there's multiple ways to do the same thing always, right? If you look at now the cross-chain ecosystem as a whole, like layer 0 and then a lot of cross-chain messaging has enabled most of the cross-chain asset swaps, right? And then has proven to be effective and widely adopted. So in a way, I mean, Zeta Chain can also do this. But beyond that, I think what we try to build, for example, we try to build a unified stablecoin. There will be more and more stablecoin. There's USDT, USDC on multiple chains, right? So there's already fragmentation of liquidity within this same issuer stablecoin itself. With the upcoming, like Robinhood will have its stablecoin, each nation, Korean one will have stablecoins. They will also exist on multiple chains. So if you want to build this mega, let's say, Forex trading sort of protocol, enable like any stablecoin on any chain to any stablecoin on any chain, by simply using the cross-chain messaging itself, it's gonna be expensive and then harder to build. So for example, one of the demonstration that we want to showcase on Zeta Chain, utilities that build this unified stablecoin hub that we basically throw in USDT on 8 different chains, right? Both Solana, EVM, and non-EVM side, and also USDC at about the same definition. And then we enable them to sort of swap, not instantly, but like pretty fast and cheaply.
Unifying the liquidity, or really unifying the liquidity across different chains, make it easier, like to pull it all together. Which for me personally would be great. Like I have now assets on like I think 10 different chains, and it's pretty annoying.
Yeah, and last point being like once you have, but honestly, USDT, the same assets on different chains should be having the same value. But because of liquidity fragmentation, sometimes the value moves up and down. And then if you want to peg your Ethereum onto stablecoin USDT, now you might have different pairs on different chains. This is also less efficient. So if you are able to find a way to unify them, so Ethereum will be able to pick with one, right? And then behind the thing is the assets on different chains. This will, I think this will dramatically improve capital efficiency as well as the user experiences.
Awesome. Hopefully one day I can just have one USD value in my wallet and not worry about anything else. Let's go to Stacks. So any unique primitives? I mean, you're building in a whole kind of specialized area to compare it to many others. But what is something unique that your primitives have enabled to build that maybe especially compared to other protocols trying to scale Bitcoin? Like, what's your unique take? Something that builders can build uniquely on Stacks and maybe not on the others.
Yeah, maybe first going to the area of infrastructure, a lot of what was put in place with the Nakamoto upgrades last year really changed the dynamic when it came to building on Bitcoin. Prior to that, there were only about a dozen, maybe 24 Bitcoin layers out there that you could build on top of at the time. And so with us, the Nakamoto upgrade introduced these faster transactions, taking again those 60-minute blocks times down to sub-seconds, to then dropping down for true Bitcoin finality. And now any builder on Stacks, for instance, can build an application. They can have sub-second transactions on the L2 or on the Stacks layer. And then within one block, those will drop down and settle on the Bitcoin L1 as the final settlement layer. So now you've got this inherent built-in, not just Bitcoin finality, but also Bitcoin security. The security budget of both are actually tied together. So a reorg to Stacks would mean a reorg to Bitcoin. So you have to have over $1 trillion to reorg Bitcoin and also Stacks at the same time. That's a very, very big inherent security principle out of the gate. So you've got faster transaction speeds, you've got tighter security, and then you've got Clarity smart contracts, which is our smart contract language. We're not EVM, we're not SVM. We are connected into supporting those networks, but we're not built by that. We're built and leveraging with the Bitcoin L1. And so the smart contract language we have, Clarity, is slightly different than Solidity. It actually allows for a pre-runtime environment versus an execution environment. So that way, when you have applications with smart contract risk, which we've seen a lot of across the industry, Clarity helps to provide a added enhancement of security around that, where the contract will actually pre-run to see if there's any injections, there's any errors, there's any issues before it executes, to provide, again, added layer of security. So I think these are a few of the areas and primitives or infrastructure that's helped provide a good foundation for building anything when it comes to Bitcoin DeFi. If you want to move Bitcoin, you want to build applications for Bitcoin, you want to build the future of perps, of trading, whatever it may be, when it comes to leveraging BTC and moving your Bitcoin, we put a lot in place so far, and there's incredible teams, developers, and organizations that have contributed to this over the last 2 years, not just Stacks as a whole, but the entire community across the board. And we've been fortunate to invest in a lot of the R&D across the industry. So whether that's ZK proofs, that's things like self-custodial, minted or tokenized Bitcoin as well. We're trying to help support all areas of this. So not just our builders, but future builders when it comes to building on Bitcoin.
Nice. And that's a pretty bold stance to take, saying, hey, we're not going to just make some version of Solidity or something everybody knows already, but we're going to build out our own way because we believe it's going to be more secure. It's going to be a better approach. And I think that's really important. We need to keep innovating there.
It was also necessary, right? Solidity is very foundational to EVM and Ethereum. And what it gave was great for what it was. But building on Bitcoin L1 and building in the Bitcoin side of the industry requires something different. And we're starting to see that more and more as we go from a couple Bitcoin to now somewhere about 70 to 80,000 Bitcoin in DeFi applications. That's not small money. That's not small assets. That is a significant amount of assets moved over into the applications and trusting of the applications and protocols that we've built. And so it doesn't mean that Solidity or Clarity or another language is better than the other per se, but that there is a way and a reason to have additional pieces to the infrastructure that maybe weren't otherwise there when it was just the Ethereum side of the industry building out.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely having the right tool for the job. And with that, let's move to Supra. Let's any unique primitives that are unique to your design, how it affects the architecture of builders, how it affects the end user experience, and what benefits are coming out of that.
Yeah, so we've seen with a lot of the builders that decide to ship on Supra, the fact that they like the fact that we have native oracles and native automation. So it allows them to do more on the block to block level on Supra without using external protocols to give them price feeds, without using an external protocol to do automated tasks. They can actually do that directly on our layer one itself, because our validators are the ones that are participating in the Oracle data, participating in automation. And therefore, they can actually build automated tasks that execute in a single block. So for example, and we call this new category AutoFi. Automated DeFi or automated finance on Supra. And so a lot of these like DEXs and money markets that are building on us like the fact that they can kind of create automated tasks. For example, we have a DEX Atmos who's integrating limit orders and recurring purchases. We have like a stable coin that's doing like auto liquidations. And so automation is really interesting. And I think a lot of applications enjoy the fact that we have it natively on our chain. And I gave a talk earlier about cross-chain automation. That is the next step, allowing our ecosystem and applications to build to build DeFi in a way that they connect with multi-chains and create automation and tasks using Supra as a hub to create kind of trading strategies to be able to move their assets, find the best yield, et cetera. So having native oracles, native automation, and then also having our L1 itself participate in actually bridging of those assets, having that built into one like vertically integrated system is really enticing for a lot of our builders, and we just don't see this in any other ecosystem.
And this actually goes into the next section of what are some criticisms that your designs may have received? You've taken some unique approaches. I'm sure there's trade-offs that you had to make, and maybe we can continue with Supra. It's like putting a build native Oracle is a big decision. I'm also curious, like, does that push out other oracles? Can they still participate in your ecosystem, or any other criticism you want to share? And how do you overcome it?
Sure. We should all be building in a permissionless way, right? So every chain, they should invite any oracle, any bridge to deploy onto the chain. I think, yeah, build permissionlessly. We don't say, hey, you have to use our oracle. No, it's really about like, in the end, what do our applications want? If they can get like 0 block delay automation through our native automation, I think they might prefer that instead of using an external automation platform like Gelato. They're free to do so. It's just they're going to have more latency by using an external protocol. So I think some of the criticisms that we had, there's two. One is that we have an extreme view that vertical integration is the way to go. And a year or two ago, everyone's talking about modular this, modular that. You have to, because if you're going to embrace modular protocols, you're going to embrace this oracle, that bridge, and this L2, that L2. Everyone becomes friends. They market each other. They're business partners, and that's fine. But we chose to kind of go alone, pick this vertical integration thesis. And that was some of our early criticism, because we couldn't do a lot of co-marketing with other partners, because in a sense, we're kind of competing against everyone. So that was one thing. And I think the second is just the way, because we're doing so much, we couldn't launch with like 5 or 6 different protocols all wrapped into Supra all at once. We had to ship them one by one. So we launched mainnet in November of last year, and we had the layer 1 ready, but we didn't necessarily have like our cross-chain communication protocol up day one. And so a big criticism for us and from our community is like, hey, you guys have this vision, but it didn't launch at TGE. And so yeah, I would just say that the two criticisms are, one, that we are our full stance, our pretty strong stance on vertical integration, and two, that we didn't launch with the full vertical integration on day one.
Nice. That's very interesting. I think vertical integration can be a superpower as well. As an engineer myself, when I'm looking for like a new package or a new platform to build something, if it can solve most of my problems, I will often prefer that, right? But there's also the strengths of modularity. That's also, debate to be had there, but we won't go too deep into it. But as an engineer, I can also appreciate like, oh, I have this one platform. It does everything I need, and I can get to building as quickly as I can.
Yeah, so the ease of a developer to be able to deploy a DeFi protocol on Supra is super fast, right? Because they get the native automation, native oracles, and they don't have to shop around and see and talk to different teams to be able to deploy something quickly. So that's one. But also, the fact is that all of these other like protocols don't necessarily have layer 1 security. So if we can have the shared security of our layer 1 to power Oracle, to power automation, to power cross-chain communication, it's actually a stronger security system, shared security paradigm that could be safer in most cases as well.
Awesome. Let's move to Stacks. Like, what's a criticism that your design or your approach to building has received? And yeah, then we'll go there.
I think I've already talked enough about block times and how slow those were in the past and how they've changed. But I think maybe going further back, again, we're one of the original 4 Bitcoin layers. So from 2015 to 2019, you had Lightning, Liquid, Rootstock, and us at Stacks. We were very early and watched the entire Ethereum and EVM space explode and expand at rapid progression. And while that was happening, we were still trying to build and support Bitcoin. That is not an easy feat to be first in that side of the market, especially when you're seeing every category that once began on Bitcoin suddenly take off on the Ethereum side. NFTs, RWAs, DeFi, DNS, etc., all started on Bitcoin and then went into Ethereum and expanded. So a lot of the criticism was, why not now? Well, it takes a lot to build on Bitcoin for good reasons we've already talked about. It also takes some time, and you also want to move with very precise accuracy around security. I noted there's $2 trillion currently sitting in Bitcoin. You don't want to mess that up. You don't want to not take precautions and move forward and lose $1 billion. That's not how this game continues. That's how this game ends. That's how this industry suffers from all the progression that it's had. So a big criticism, 1, was block time. 2, why not now? And then even when we were all working together, you still had a difficulty of building on Bitcoin. It was slow. There weren't a lot of tools. There wasn't a lot of capital being invested in the companies that were building or the tools, but there was a lot of capital sitting in Bitcoin. 2023, we saw that change. 2024, we saw the entire Bitcoin side dominate and also kind of reset the bar as to what it meant to be building. Us, along with many others, helped to reset that bar and try to overcome some of those criticisms, help to bring more capital to the ecosystem, help bring more liquidity, help to bring native stablecoins. Whether that was us at Stacks or some of the stuff that we were doing in terms of supporting R&D, we've tried to work as much as possible to help do that within the time constraints we have. Because one last thing, Ethereum had 7 great years of building and a foundation they laid for the entire rest of the industry going forward. We are now trying to build on top of that. And again, $2 trillion, you don't want to mess that up. You want to take your time in building for it.
Yeah, I also love that you're, taking inspiration from other ecosystems too, right? Because, there's a lot of smart people working across every major protocol. And it's like, why not take some good ideas, bring them into what you're doing, and build on top of that. I love that. Let's go to Z Chain. Criticisms of how you've built out your protocol, any trade offs you decided to make while you're building.
Um, it's only until later stage once we realize there's the wallet connection is one of the criticism that we receive. Right, we're trying to pitch to developers that we have this one-stop environment to just deploy your Solidity code, and then you're able to sort of provide access and to users from different communities. But on top of that, when actually user come in to use that, right? So if you come from Solana, you have to connect your Phantom. If you come from Sui, you have to get a Sui wallet. Bitcoin, you get a Bitcoin wallet. Now, actually, at this environment, it's slightly better because MetaMask has expanded, Phantom has expanded. If you just look at last year, all these wallets are very segregated. So, which means the same developer, right? Even though they just put one SaaS, but they have to somehow connect and maintain all the wallet connections on different chains. This has proven to be a very painful process for the devs. So now this year, starting from this year, we are working with the dynamic wallets, right? These are multi-sig, multi-chain wallets, try to create this one-stop place where both users, we can import your native wallets from Solana, Sui, and all the different chains, and as well as we can generate social logins for multi-chain wallets that the user experience will be without switching the wallets all the time. Imagine you want to do a cross-chain transaction from A chain to B chain. Now you have to connect two chains, and then if you want to do this another way around, you have to switch network. So the user experience, the better user experience should be multi-chain wallets where users just sign once, and then without noticing or popping up or switching chains, you are able to sign transactions with the same private key on connected network. So, and for the developer, it's also easy. You just need to connect to one thing, right, without worrying about maintaining all these different wallet connections and breakouts. A lot of times, the bad user experiences, also the debugging process, really came from, right, maintaining all this connection from different wallets. So that's something we learn and try to fix.
Yeah, no, that's a great move because like when you're building the infra, you're hitting all these speed bumps because of the way that the UX layer chooses to implement your infrastructure, chooses to implement your protocol, right? And you're like, why can't you just do it this way, right? And then you're like, my protocol supports this, but you have to wait on their teams and on how they choose to, prioritize what you're able to build out. So it sounds like you chose to work more closely with them, like, and basically align yourself more closely so that you can get that, all the benefits of your infrastructure out to the users, which is awesome. So we'll go into the next section. So here, I'm curious now how you're collaborating with other chains, other builders. It's interesting. Like we were just talking about, the choice that it's actually difficult to collaborate on that side. But maybe we can go to Supra. Is like, have you found ways to collaborate with others while maintaining your vertical integration stance?
Yeah, so actually we went to market. So my co-founder and I started working together about almost 8 years now, and we actually went to market as an oracle ourselves, right? So we were called Supra Oracles. The whole idea from the beginning is actually to do the oracle first and then to launch our layer one with native oracles. But in the beginning, it was really all about connecting to all the chains, right? So we connected to 50 L1, L2s, and we provided Oracle as a service, pull and push Oracle to 50 different chains. And we barely even charged for it, in the beginning. So we felt like that was a big service. That was a way for us to really gain those early partnerships in the early days and to make a name for ourselves. Because as a layer one, there's kind of a cold start problem. You you're either from Facebook, or you have to find a go-to-market, which, you can get attention and as a layer one to attract the right ecosystem. So I would just say that we actually did make a lot of effort in the early days as an Oracle, to provide and help power DeFi on 50 different ecosystems. I remember Sui was the first ecosystem that we went live on for our Oracle. And, we help power, Sui's DeFi ecosystem even today as an Oracle. But yes, we have our own chain. We are a layer one, and we have our native oracles. But this also helped us really to connect with a lot of other DeFi teams to deploy directly onto Supra as well. So yes, I mean, it is difficult for us because we talk about vertical integration all the time and how, like, deploying on our layer one using our Oracle services and automation is like, less delay and less latency, and it's leads to better execution quality. But yeah, I think at least in the early days we could, and we still power 50 other chains with our Oracle. So it still exists, and we still do that. And yeah.
Thank you. And we'll do maybe a quick word from each of you on how are you're collaborating with other chains, how you or other protocols, and then we'll finish off with one hot take from each company, and we'll end off there. So maybe a quick word on collaboration, and then we'll go.
Yeah. So on the collaboration side, again, we face the same issues as Supra, right? So, but eventually, one of the big concerns from layer one is that if you are layer one, we are layer ones. Are you competing with the devs, competing with the transactions? Well, in the end, I think we have to go out and sort of speak up here, and we try to be the connectors. The user deploy, the devs deploy on us doesn't mean that transactions stop here. A lot of times, we are the orchestration layer to help transactions and the logic happens on here, but essentially we are also signing transactions on the connected chains, right? Thinking about a swap between Arbitrum into Solana, so the user will sign transaction Arbitrum, but the transaction will go through us, and also we'll have confirmation on both sides. We'll send a transaction both sides. So in a way, we have some transaction, but through us, we hope collectively we can encourage more transaction happens and connect the users on different chains through us together. So the hot text,
Yeah. No.
yeah.
Yeah. We'll be
Just super quick, because I think we're out of time. But for us at Stacks, I mean, we've been focused on supporting the Bitcoin side of the industry for many years now, and supporting the protocols and the layers. And most recently, have started to work not just with Wormhole and other bridges as well to help connect and bring Bitcoin across, but also working on integrations on a more native or more application level, whether that's with Sui, Solana, Aptos, or many others. And we're constantly open to much more of when it comes to helping support the Bitcoin across many layers. Stacks.co to find more.
All right, thank you, everyone. So we'll end with that message of collaboration. We're all building to expand crypto, bring it to the masses. Really, there's still like my family doesn't use crypto day to day. How many people here go to grocery store to buy their bread with crypto? Probably nobody here. So let's get there. Let's build. Let's collaborate together, and we'll finish off on that message. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.